God's blessings to everyone. This is a DGHradio.com news and information news update for the United States Virgin Islands, and I'm reporter DKS reporting the news for Tuesday, September 30th, 2025, covering the latest developments from across the United States Virgin Islands. The administration used its weekly briefing to tackle two pocketbook concerns reverberating through the territory: higher shipping costs driven by federal policy shifts and the possibility of a short federal government lapse. Officials stressed the core issue on parcels is federal law. Changes would have to come from Congress, while urging residents to plan for possible inconveniences in national parks, airports, and some federal services if lawmakers miss their deadline. For families and small businesses, the near-term guidance is simple. Expect shipping costs to stay elevated until federal policy changes, and keep an eye on airline and park notices if a lapse occurs. As you think about this at home, should the territory mount a coordinated push to modernize its customs treatment? And if a shutdown drags on, which local services should be protected first? Transportation hubs remain in the spotlight. The Port Authority Board has accepted a $22 million construction bid from Island Roads Corporation as part of a slate of 14 active projects across the territory. Leaders say the focus is safety, resiliency, and steady improvements at airports and seaports, modernizing without disrupting daily operations. Community questions ahead. Which projects will most improve on-time performance for flights and ferries? And would a public project dashboard boost trust? On day-to-day operations, the Port Authority also briefed the board on emergency replacement of aging air conditioning units, contemplated adjustments to certain marine fees, and tighter collection of past due balances. Officials framed these as the unseen basics that make the travel day feel smooth. Comfortable terminals, fair and transparent fee structures, and consistent payment practices that protect compliant customers. Listeners, where should the line be drawn on emergency procurements, and what fee design fairly shares costs among cruise, cargo, and local users without chilling growth? There is commercial momentum too. A new cruise call and a new airline service have been welcomed to the territory, encouraging signs as we head into fall. Managers credit infrastructure upgrades and tighter coordination with private partners, while noting that clarity on pricing and reliability remains key so residents benefit alongside visitors. What local bottlenecks most limit growth when new calls are added: roads, tours, or staffing? And should a slice of incremental passenger fees fund projects in port neighborhoods? Turning to community and culture, the University of the Virgin Islands hosted a spirited Deaf Awareness Day, part celebration, part call to action. Organizers and public officials underscored that accessibility is everyone's responsibility, from classrooms and courtrooms to tourism experiences, a practical takeaway for all of us. Build access in from the start and the benefits ripple outward. Should basic accessibility training be required for frontline tourism staff territory-wide, and what single step would most improve access to public services for deaf residents this year? Health advocacy takes center stage in October. Cancer Support Virgin Islands is launching its 12th annual Pinktober while marking 20 years of service. Over 2 decades, the group says it has provided millions in direct aid to thousands of neighbors facing cancer, often covering travel, lodging, and incidentals that insurance misses. The ask is simple: join an event, schedule your screenings, and check in on a friend in treatment. What additional resources would most help families right now, and should the territory consider a matching fund program to amplify local health charities? A small island legend is back in the conversation. St. John's long-running traffic light gag, an old wall-mounted signal that never controlled traffic, has quietly vanished as the old public works building faces updates. The disappearance changes nothing about daily driving, but it has locals swapping stories about safety, tourism growth, and how to balance tradition with modern traffic control. Would smart sensor crossings near schools or ferry docks improve safety without changing the island's character? Protecting elders remains a shared duty. A third elder abuse workshop on St. Thomas shifted the conversation to seniors and caregivers with practical tools for spotting physical, emotional, and financial exploitation and clear guidance on how and where to report concerns. Could additional safeguards at banks and utilities help block common scams, and should certain financial red flags trigger mandatory reporting? On public safety, one case drew attention to transparency and early intervention. A St. Thomas resident turned himself in following a domestic violence incident, allowing social services to step in quickly to protect all involved. Does self-reporting in these cases create pathways to earlier help and accountability? And what support structures should be strengthened for both victims and those accused? On wages and the cost of living, agencies have been told to speed up payroll data so the new $35,000 minimum salary for public workers takes effect on Wednesday, October 1st. Lawmakers say the raise addresses high housing, food, and utility costs. The administration warns of long-term fiscal strain. The big question for the community: how do we sustain fair pay and strong services without blowing future budgets? And will this move nudge private employers to follow? And finally, a cultural celebration. Sosa artist Dennis Pumpa Lee Bird is being honored with a key to the territory, with lawmakers also moving to rename a St. Croix road in recognition of his contributions to Virgin Islands music. Honors like these can inspire the next generation. So what else should we be doing to support local artists and export Virgin Islands culture to the world? These and other issues are of great concern within the islands. What do you think are some good solutions? Let us know your thoughts by texting your comments to 1-315-898-1449. You can also join our WhatsApp group and get the news, weather, and other insightful information delivered right to your smartphone. To join, text JOIN to 1-315-898-1449. Please include your name in the text message. You will receive a call to verify your request. I'm your reporter, DKS, signing off for DGHradio.com. Remember, DKS and DGH, together we dream kindly, speak deeply, and give hope, because on DGHradio.com, the news never sleeps. Goodbye for now. So, ciao.